Dive. All right. So we're going to finish Hosea chapter 11 tonight. We're going to look at verses 7 through 11. But nobody panic. It's only 3 pages. So, but we're going to continue to look at the stages of development and what brought about the need for Yahusha altogether. So let's talk to our Elohim and we'll take a look. Father, thank you for this opportunity to study your word. We ask that you will open our eyes, open our ears, and open our hearts so we can see, hear, and understand what your word tells us. And we thank you. In the name of Yahusha, amen. All right, so we've gone through the first verse. We considered that Elohim is making a way. Israel has gone off track. In the first part of Hosea, he says, I divorce you, and we know that, okay, well, that's a serious thing because now there's no way to return. But we found that in that first verse there was a correlation between that verse of bringing his son out of Egypt to the story that we get, or the narrative that we get, where the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes and the little boy, that there's a way that's going to be made to bring Israel back out of captivity. Then the second part of the study, we kind of consider that even though a way had been made for them to come out of captivity, and even though Yahusha had come, and even though a truth had been taught and set in place, that it very quickly lost its integrity. And we kind of saw a correlation with that and the condition of Israel. So when they split from the kingdom under Jeroboam, they went into a false state of worship because they didn't want to worship according to the southern kingdom was worshiping, and that was bad enough. But as they began to be invaded by other stronger peoples, they started to absorb their religion as well, until we're just a conglomerate of idolatry. And we said, okay, well, they're wanting to make an alliance with Egypt so that they can overcome Assyria, and a lot of things going on historically in this book. So, now that I've gone through the first paragraph, we've considered, just halfway down, we've considered that just as time in the Torah is helical, that these verses refer to the Adam as a whole, Israel is a model in which Yahuwah delivers the message to the whole of humankind, the Adam. The next 5 verses from Hosea paint a picture for us of a compassionate Elohim that is struggling and grieving over the condition of Israel and the actions that he must take according to his word as Elohim. And this is something that we really have to keep in mind, is that Elohim will always act in accordance to his Torah. He won't deviate from what the Torah says because he cannot. We have the choice as to whether we want to or not. But that also gives us a choice as to whether we stay in a relationship with our Elohim or we become separated from our Elohim. So the actions that he must take according to his word as Elohim. So we're going to consider what Elohim chose to do so that the Adam would be able to truly make teshuvah and return fully to their Elohim. And I've said this before, and it's kind of maybe a difficult concept to grasp, but we have this entire narrative throughout the Torah, an entire history of Israel. And Israel, the whole kingdom of Israel, including the separation of the southern and the northern part, is a model for the relationship between the Adam and Elohim as a larger picture. Because we remember that in the beginning there was only Yahuwah Elohim and the Adam, and that's where this rift took place. So this thing plays out all the way through history, and we read within the Torah what steps are being taken to restore Israel, but is a model of what steps are being taken to restore humankind back to a relationship with the Father. So, that being said, we're going to take a look at Hosea chapter 11. We'll start with verse 7 that says, 7:11, haha, okay. And my people are bent towards backsliding from me, and though they call to the Most High, none of them exalt him. So my people are taken to backsliding, and even though they call, they don't call to exalt me. Okay? So this really doesn't need a whole lot of interpretation. Israel is worshiping falsely. They're convinced that they are true, but their worship does not esteem Yahuwah as it has been given to other deities. This concept continues to spiral in that helical motion, that Yahuwah Elohim in the Torah says, I am Yahuwah. I will not share my esteem with anything or anyone else. The second commandment is the one that says, don't create anything and replace me with it, so that you don't break the third commandment to bring my name to nothing. Okay? So, this is causing a further rift to take place between them and Yahuwah, who alone is Elohim. So again, if we consider Israel to be a model, then we have to consider that the Adam is currently playing the part of Israel, or Israel is currently playing the part of the Adam. Either way, it's the same thing. Verse 8 says, and now we're going to read it in English, but we're going to find that the Hebrew really doesn't say what the English says. How can I give you up, Ephraim? How can I surrender you, Israel? How can I make you as Admah? How can I set you as Zeboim? My heart is turned within me. My compassions are joined together. So in this verse, we see the struggles that Yahuwah is in within himself. Okay? We said that Yahuwah is spirit. We considered for those of you that did the plagues of Egypt, we understand that Yahuwah as spirit has emotions, is capable of anger and joy and sadness and all this stuff. And he looks at the situation and he reasons out the situation. Okay? So this verse, we see the struggle that Yahuwah is in within himself. He is not willing to give up Ephraim. He still believes that Israel can bear good fruit and be productive. Now the word used for give you up is etencha, that more specifically means to permit or to allow. So we can consider this phrase as saying, how can I permit you, Ephraim? Now from past studies we know that Ephraim means to be doubly fruitful, but it comes from the root peri that means fruit. So Ephraim is an idea of being fruitful. It's an idea of being productive. Okay? So how can Elohim permit or allow fruitfulness to take place in false worship? If we consider that Ephraim, the northern kingdom, had totally and completely what's the word I'm looking for? They totally and completely submerged themselves in false worship and had no recollection of true worship. Then we understand that what Elohim is saying here is, how can I permit fruitfulness to come out of false worship? The word used for surrender is amag gencha, that more specifically means to shield, protect, and to deliver. So what we could read and consider is, how can I protect, shield, and deliver you, Israel? So what we consider in this phrase is that there is a vast difference in the protection and deliverance of Yahuwah Elohim when one has established that Elohim prevails in their lives, as compared when one is wrestling against Elohim. We can say that if I am in a relationship with Yahuwah my Elohim, then I have the protection, the deliverance of my Elohim that comes to restore me when I need to be restored. But when I'm in rebellion, in a conscious rebellion against Elohim, then that protection, that shield, is no longer there. And this is basically what he's saying. I can't protect you because you are in idolatry. You are in falsehood. So the northern kingdom had turned away from Yahuwah and was wrestling against him. So this phrase tells us that Elohim was having to withdraw his protection and deliverance from them. He would have to withdraw himself from them, allowing the consequences of their actions to play out in his absence. And we read from the historical context that it didn't go very well for the northern kingdom. And then when the southern kingdom decided that it was also going to rebel, it didn't go well for them, that they were taken captive by Assyria, and then both kingdoms were taken into captivity by Babylon. So, in these two phrases, we can consider that Elohim is reaching out to the northern kingdom to make the right choice. He's reaching out to them basically so that they'll make teshuvah and return to him in true worship. This is what the prophets are trying to accomplish. They're saying, hey, wake up. You're way off course and you need to make teshuvah and come back to your Elohim. But the northern kingdom has gotten to a state of being where they're just not going to listen to anyone because they're not going to do what the southern kingdom is doing. They've become prideful, they've become arrogant, and they've become full of themselves. So this very same message has been declared and proclaimed throughout the age of the Adam. Just like the northern kingdom, though, the message has gone unheard. Because of this, Elohim has to make a choice and struggle to make that choice. The struggle to make that choice is seen in the next last phrases of this verse. How can I make you as Admah? How can I set you as Zeboim? My heart is turned within me. My compassions are joined together. So the first two phrases in Hebrew would read as follows. How can I make Admah to be Zeboim? Okay? He's not really saying, how can I make you as Admah and how can I set you as Zeboim? He's saying, how can I make Admah into Zeboim? This now asks, how can one thing become another thing? Admah means red clay, the substance that was used to construct the shell of the atom so that the Spirit of Yahuwah could fill it and give the atom life. This word represents our carnal side. The word Elohim means, or Eboim, actually Zeboim, means a sparrow, but comes from the root zebi, that means to honor and to be decorated. But this word also has a darker side from the root zabah that means to be swollen, as in being prideful, and to become adulterous, as in the concept of idolatry. So what we can consider this question that Yahuwah is asking to state, how can what is carnal become honored and decorated? So how can I put my anointing on something that is flesh? Okay? When it is swollen in prideful arrogance with adultery, idolatry, and false worship. Yahuwah has seen the very creation of the Adam, whom he has loved, and Israel, whom he has loved and protected, turn away from him and towards other Elohim and their false worship. He has seen what he loves the most reject him. Okay? If we can imagine this, then we can see the conflict in the last phrase. My heart is turned within me. My compassions are joined together. So the word used for my heart in this verse is libi, that comes from the root leb, that aside from heart also means the will and the understanding. In the past studies, we've considered that the heart of Yahuwah is the Torah. We have the last letter of the Torah is Lamed, the first letter is Beit. You put them together, and they spell Leb. They mean heart. So, I lost my place. Okay, so in past days we consider the heart of Yahuwah to be his Torah. The word for turned is nechpach, that also means to overturn or to overthrow. This word also means to turn against. And the word for within me is ali, that comes from the root al, that can also mean according to and in regards to. So what then is the conflict that we see in this phrase, my heart is turned within me? We can consider that Yahuwah Elohim, being spirit, shows the emotions of compassion and love. We can consider from the definitions that the conflict is that Yahuwah desires to overturn his will, but that he cannot overturn his word. He must join his compassion, or he must join his compassions, and they must be joined together in order to overturn his will according to his word. What's going on with Yahuwah Elohim? He has a desire to do something. His compassions are pushing him to the concept of going contrary to his Torah in order to fix something. But he realizes that he cannot go contrary to his Torah in order to fix it. He has to stay according to his Torah. Okay? Again, the Adam, we can choose to follow the Torah or not follow the Torah. We can even choose to pervert the Torah to make it say whatever we want it to say. It's not necessarily the right thing, but we have to understand that Elohim, being a perfect being, will not do that. Cannot do that. So, where were we? Okay. There must be a way that is made according to the truth of Yahuwah's word, his Torah, that will result in life for Israel, and by proxy the Adam, and not destruction. So let me read that again. There must be a way that is made according to the truth of Yahuwah's word, his Torah, that will result in life for Israel, and by proxy the Adam, and not destruction. His will and his Torah must work together. In other words, his compassions must be joined together to resolve the fate of the Adam. The solution would be Yahushua, who was the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through Yahushua. If we want to return to the Father, we understand that there is a means of redemption that was made, that we can now make teshuvah and become reconnected to what we were disconnected from because of allowing transgression to become sin in our lives. Yahushua, the redemption price according to the Torah, to restore the separated wife back to the household of the dead husband who divorced her. It means to redeem the idolatrous Adam back to a state of connection with Yahuwah, his Elohim. So the concept that we've just considered bring an understanding to verses 9 through 11. And we can just read these verses as is, because if we can grasp what we've just considered, these verses will make sense. Verse 9 says, I will not execute the fierceness of my anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am El and not man. It's a very important statement there. I am a mighty judge who has the authority to redeem, deliver, and restore. I am not the Adam. I have to stay within the boundaries of my word. I'm not like the Adam that can be wishy-washy and go in and out. Okay? And I will not come in anger. Or I am set apart in the midst of you, and I will not come in anger. Verse 10 says, They shall walk after Yahuwah, who shall roar like a lion, for he shall roar, and the children shall come trembling from the west. They shall come trembling as a bird out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria. And I will make them to dwell in their houses, says Yahuwah. We consider what that means historically. Israel was playing a very dangerous game with Assyria, promising to pay tribute, and then going behind Assyria's back and trying to make a pact with Egypt to help them to conquer Assyria so that they wouldn't, and then refusing to pay the tribute. Then Egypt backs out of the deal, and as a result, Assyria invades and utterly destroys Israel. So, let's see, let's turn the page. So if Yahuwah has made a way to redeem Israel, then we can understand that we will not do the things, that he will not do the things mentioned in verse 9. In verse 9, again, it says to destroy, to, just to do all kinds of bad things. I'm trying to get back to there. It says, not execute the fiercest of my anger. I will not destroy Ephraim. Okay? It says, I'm set apart. I'm set apart to a single distinctive purpose for them. And if they will turn to me, then we will have a singleness of purpose together. This is part of that Shema, that Yahuwah is Echad. He is a singleness of purpose. His purpose is within his Torah, and if we will recognize that singleness of purpose within the Torah, then we are also Echad. We are in unity with our Elohim. So he would be in just as much violation of his Torah than he would be if he just ignored the transgression as being sin. If Yahuwah did what verse 9 states, he would be in just as much violation as of his Torah than he would if he just ignored the transgression as being sin and clothed the Adam in esteem. This would have been a violation of free will. You violated the free will, so I'm going to destroy you. And Elohim will not destroy or punish or anything like that because I violate the free will. He simply separates, he simply departs, and I am left outside the gate as opposed to being inside the gate. Yahuwah will not destroy the Adam for ignoring his Torah. He will separate himself from them. Yahuwah will not forgive transgression against his Torah without teshuvah. The Torah forces the Adam to exercise the freedom to choose. Thus the Adam is Israel, choosing that Elohim prevails in their lives or choosing to rebel against them. The Adam is Israel. From the point of view that we as the Adam can choose whether Elohim prevails in our lives, or we also have the choice of wrestling against Elohim, rebelling against Elohim, and that is the choice that we have. Okay? Let's see, Adam is Israel. Yahuwah will not override this. He will not override our free will, but he can and did make a way that the Adam could find redemption, deliverance, and restoration, and find his way back to Yahuwah his Elohim and back to Yahuwah's Torah. Yahusha, prior to his death, taught that humankind must adhere to the Torah of Yahuwah, and that until heaven and earth cease to exist, the instruction to Shema, to perceive, discern, and understand what it says, and to Shamar, to apply it, to guard it, to treasure it, to preserve it, and to observe it, would not stop. It says, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter, the smallest mark on that letter will be done away with. Okay? He didn't say until I die on the cross idea. He said until heaven and earth pass away. Okay? So, Shema and Shamar. So what we learn from Hosea and from the prophets is that Yahuwah Elohim would and will back away and separate himself from Israel and the Adam, allowing them to choose to return to him or not. If we will consider and take seriously verse 7, then we must take a serious look at ourselves and the condition of our beliefs and our worships. And let's look at that verse one more time, verse 7. And my people are bent towards backsliding from me. And though they call to the Most High, none of them exalt him. So, am I lifting up Yahuwah my Elohim? Or am I throwing out prayers that have absolutely no purpose in basically giving Elohim the credit for bringing whatever I need or desire to have manifest in my life? Yahushua says, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will grant you. Now, that's not carte blanche to go out and start asking for yachts and $1-million bank accounts and stuff like this. But whatever we ask the Father that is in agreement with the Father's word, if we ask it in his name, if we ask it in the name of the redemption, deliverance, and restoration that Yahuwah brought into being, then he will listen to us and he will provide for our needs and measure the provision for those wants. Because we can want a lot of things, and a lot of things that we want aren't necessarily the best things for us. My grandchildren can want all the candy in the world, and I will give them candy, but I'm not going to give them candy at 7 o'clock in the morning when I'm the one that has to babysit them. Okay? I'll give it to them in the afternoon when the mother's on the way to pick them up and have them wash it down with a couple of Red Bulls. Yeah. Anyway. So, what we learn from Hosea, what we learn from Hosea and from the prophets is that Yahuwah Elohim would and will back away and separate himself from Israel and the Adam, allowing them to choose to return to him or not. If we'll take verse 7 seriously, then we must take a serious look at ourselves and the condition of our beliefs and worship, and how those beliefs and worship affect our relationship with Yahuwah, our Elohim. And we're given 3 beautiful questions at the very beginning of the Torah that start us towards this ability to examine. The first question, where are you? The second question was, who told you that you were naked? Well, we can kind of trim that back a little bit to who told you. Where are you getting your information? Why do you believe what you believe? What is the origin of your belief system? Is it dogma? Is it a doctrine that is not founded on anything provable? And what have you done? What have you done is a great question. What have you done? We can also change that into what are you willing to do? I have something within my belief system that doesn't belong there. What am I willing to do about it? Am I willing to change, and am I willing to take the heat for the changes that I make in that belief system? What is important to me, basically? My relationship with Yahuwah, my Elohim, what's important to me? Or is my relationship with all these people that are going to call me a nutcase if I begin to serve Elohim according to his word? Is that more important? Do I have self-esteem or them esteems, basically? So, with that, we can say grooviness has been achieved.